eyeballs, old specs.
Oh.
Well, my thought process here is that maybe we have some definite policy or written statement or something, or guidelines established for purchasing these tires. And we get our county employees to follow these guidelines. I'm not sure everybody's aware of the procedure or how to do it. And, I'm not accusing anybody in there. I'm just trying to make sure that this can get done. And it's easy.
Yeah, it is.
So what do we need to do that?
If I was you, I'd tell them what I want. You're sitting in the driver's seat.
Okay.
Well,
They
I
can stick to it.
I would just send out a memo and say, to remind you that tires, that we have them on state contract and follow the procedures.
And do we have procedures to follow?
Just check with the vendors to make sure you're getting the government rates, that's what we do.
Okay.
And you could say, no tires will be paid for unless you're getting the government rate.
Okay. I'm liking what I'm hearing. What do you guys think?
Hitting them. But by the time we buy them, we get the bill, it's too late. I mean, unless you're gonna make that department head pay.
Ouch.
Well, because I know who you're talking about,
Well,
and you're not
well-
gonna get him to conform.
If you buy a set of 4 tires, would it be $1,000? I don't know.
Depends on what tires. I mean.
Well, passenger tires.
No, not unless you're, well, I suppose if you're buying real high-end tires, yeah, but I mean, we don't run any type of tire like that. Now, if you get in a truck tire, you get that way in a hurry.
Right.
Yeah, that might be.
No, I'm saying-
Tires have become a big issue. I mean, tires
They have,
cost-
and that's my point.
Tires are costing a lot of money. I mean, the price of tires in the last 3 years has probably doubled. Yeah, I mean, it's just nuts. It's to the point where on our side of it, we're thinking about going to recaps on the back. And we haven't run recaps on the back they did when I first went to work, first went to work 30-some years ago, but then we got out of them. Because usually we can run a tire, and if we don't run it too far, we can get a casing price out of it. So that takes $80 off of the price of that tire, basically. So I mean, it makes the tire $80 cheaper, really,
Right.
than what you're paying, because you get the $80 back on the back end of it. But, I mean, even at that price, it's still expensive.
So we changed our policy as far as purchasing from $500 to $1,000, correct?
Yes.
Maybe we should rescind that,
Back to 5.
go back to 5.
I mean, everything we do, he gets prices and he writes both prices down. That's how we do it, because a lot of times, we're gonna be in the middle of something. We may run 3 or 4 tires. If you blow out a tire or something.
Yeah,
we
well, I
get low
understand.
stock.
But I mean, if you have a vehicle that needs tires replaced, you're gonna know that within
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple of months prior to replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about an emergency or a roadside emergency or something like that. Most of the time, we know when we're gonna buy tires. And just follow the county's policy and get them as cheaply as possible. It's just,
Well, every time when we buy something, we always try to get 2 prices.
Is that price local, Phil?
On the tires, it's through Kansas Land, Becker. It's a state net deal through, like Goodyear puts it out,
I
Michelin.
understand that, but I don't want it. I'm not just
Yokohama.
on him.
There's some other tires, and then there's some on the recap side too.
Okay. We price local here,
Yeah,
and
I mean, and these, well, the dealers can't even, the dealers can't even give this price.
right,
It's
but I mean,
unbelievable.
we got,
All
we
that,
bought, I don't
that.
know, a trailer load of them, but
Well,
we got a very reasonable compared, like, I mean, not that cheap. I didn't know these guys can do that
So all I
program as well on
Volume.
yeah, which I think that would
Get
help.
them that they do that.
What we get for it actually is, like Phil said earlier, is cost.
Right, but if you bought a
Yeah, it's not
half
gonna
of
be,
a semi-load of them at the same time for all your trucks.
it's not, you know, this,
you'd
it's
save-
not gonna be any
You'd save that
cheaper.
much more plus.
Yeah, it's not gonna be any cheaper
Okay,
this way.
okay.
Because they usually have their contracts a year, about in May,
What do we
and it's
call
good
this
for
state?
you.
This is a
State net price.
State net price. I can't keep that in mind.
So basically, you go through a distributor to get that state price then. Right.
And some of the other guys won't do
Well,
that.
you guys have any suggestions or ideas along this line?
We will finish sealing today. Did have a transmission problem with one of our trucks, so we ended up, we had to pay for somebody else to haul 3 loads of oil for us.
Even after we bought you that brand new truck?
There was the other truck, it's a transmission, and would only go in 3rd gear.
It's not fast enough, huh?
No. It was in Dodge City at the time, so right now it's getting an estimate of what. Hopefully it's.
Is it a standard transmission?
I didn't see what it was for. And then that's our low boy truck, so now we can't. But hopefully it's not too big a fix on it. And they did come in for striking, so we'll start getting the sealed roads and we got a sealed city Hudson for that. And we had just a way to do right turn on the south edge of Stafford. It just needed to be cleaned up before we could really seal it.
Well, we got sealed, I see the South Stafford Road and the one goes over where you get.
We see
that one.
South Seat and the old South Seat with Stafford on the road from the 4-way stop at 4th Street to the county line. To the west of miles of course. It's total 51 miles. 51 and a half, I guess.
See, a lot of gravel on it, it's gonna take a while before you can drive on that. I was down, yes.
Amazingly, most of that gravel is put off in a week. If the road has very much volume of traffic on it at all. There's not very much left on the Stafford Road right now.
Did Kirkland Michaels come out and look at that road on east of Hudson?
Yes, he did. Well, I talked to him, I don't know if he's ever got there and looked at it yet or not. And then he also brought it, maybe we could chip seal that.
What about a speed limit?
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, he hasn't, I'll
Yes,
call
maybe
John
it's
today and
recommendations, yeah.
find out, see if they've got that done yet. But I haven't seen any paperwork on it yet.
Do you think it is possible we could seal that?
Yeah, I don't know that we can get it this year, but I mean, it would certainly eliminate the dust problem and the headache of trying to drag it. I mean, it's, when I took
Well, it's a
the,
pretty vital road.
Well, yeah, it is. I
To
mean,
the whole county's economy, I don't think.
Doug Francis was through 2 weeks ago Friday, this Friday. Yeah, and I take him up there and he says, oh my gosh. He says, he says, you do have some traffic here. And I said, yeah, I wasn't blowing smoke at you. And what he suggested was shooting it with a prime oil and then let try to have it and chip seal on top of it. And I don't know if we'll get that done this year or not. I mean, it needs some time to get shaped up and the window's closing real fast. If it's not done by the end of September, we shouldn't seal it, I know that.
Well,
And
personally, I'm all in favor of that getting done.
Well, you and me both, I mean, that's.
It's a headache for you and the people that live there and around
And
there.
the people who live there have really been great. I mean, they have.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, their patients are on the very.
Oh, I'm sure
at
they
the
are.
very end. I've had calls from them.
Well, I'm sure, I mean, and I've talked to both of them.
Right.
Now, does our responsibility, county responsibility ends at the driveway of the tank farm, or do we
No,
extend it
we
to
have-
the
we have the
intersection,
We have the 2 miles, and if we're gonna do this.
to the T?
Yeah, we need to do the 2 miles, and, yes, to the T is right.
And then the rest of that on over to Quivira's township?
Yes. So,
And then once they get into the Quivira, then it's the feds?
Well, no,
No?
actually, South or Putnam Township drags that old Sterling spur.
The only reason I'm asking this is the other day, and maybe I told you about this, when the bus was here, when they were touring Stafford County.
Oh, yeah. No, you didn't tell me. I was,
It was a gravel truck, and I don't know if they'd taken the wrong turn, came out of Hudson, but they went straight. And from the curve where the spillway, or not the spillway, but the gates are that go into the Little Marsh, you know, when you turn and go north, he was behind me, and I was behind the bus. And he passed me and the bus before the curve to go back east and then back north. And the time we got to Margaret Mile, he was already heading east on 19.
This is one of our trucks?
no.
Well, it was a white truck, and it was a dual tandem.
It wasn't one of ours.
And I was thinking, if it is a county employee, by the time I would have gotten him at the Margaret Mile, he would no longer been an employee of the county. But it was a private hauler,
Yeah.
and I couldn't understand why they would do a cut through, because it wouldn't save any time or mileage
No,
if they'd gone all the
Rivera's got
way
a
up.
30-mile speed limit through the wildlife and through that scenic drive. And that guy will stop you up there.
Well, unfortunately, you must have been to lunch or someplace, but anyway. I wondered how much, if people are taking a shortcut through there rather than going up to the four-way. And then,
I don't know why, I mean, it's not that great a road.
no,
I mean, it has some soft spots and stuff.
yes, it does. No, I was just curious, but anyway.
Two issues over by Radium,
Mhm.
and I realize you get into conflict with the city and the county and where the responsibility comes, but the ditch that goes through the city, as it makes its turn right on the edge there, nobody seems to be able to assume responsibility, and we have trees and residue building up as that little ditch makes its turn. And they were wondering if you're up there with any equipment, if you could help clear that out or clean that out.
This is where,
As the ditch that goes through the city?
the radium, on the back side of
Yes.
on the north side?
Yes.
Yeah. That's, I don't know whose that is, but yeah, we can.
Apparently it's nobody's.
Well,
It's no man's land.
okay, what they're concerned about. I know when we had the water in 93, they were really concerned about the tree slowing the water down. And I said, people, this water's not, they didn't understand, this water's not gonna move that fast. But that's fine, I understand what, yes.
So, it is a good time to clean it out.
Yes, we can,
And
yeah.
if you have equipment up there, they'd very much appreciate it. And then Nealon stopped me, and he took his fence out,
Mhm.
and he basically said, good time, if you guys want to get in there and clean that out, dig it deeper, whatever you want to do. You don't have that fence inhibiting your equipment,
Okay.
and you're welcome to. But he also would like a culvert, but
The seal on the driveway, the entrance on the roadside.
where he'd like it is, the shoulder belt's a half-mile line,
Yeah.
and he would like it, well, he'd like it north of the shoulder belt on his side of the property. I said, how about we put it right at the half-mile line so both quarters can utilize the access? Because what he's complaining or concerned about is he has no access to that corner whatsoever. He has crops going down the circle.
Mhm.
He can't get to that to farm it in any way, shape, or form, and so he wants some access. he thinks it needs to be north of there because of some water issues, which I didn't really understand, but you may understand better about how the water will come through the shelter belt, and he doesn't want you to dam it up. If you do decide to do something like that, would you just discuss it with him
Sure.
and
Yeah, I'll follow.
see what he's thinking? Because I don't want to speak for him. I didn't fully understand what he was saying,
Okay.
except that I do understand where he is cut off. He doesn't have any access to that ground. But the quarter to the south doesn't really have that issue so much because it has access from other areas, and it's not a circle. So maybe it's not important that they have access.
Yeah, because that would probably take a pretty sized pipe.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing he was concerned about as well.
Because
And that may not be something you wish to do, that's entirely up to you. I'm just relaying the message.
Sure.
But he also wanted you to know that since the fence is out, it would be a good time to come in and clean that up. And you'd have a better opportunity since you don't have a fence stopping you to clean it up and do what you can do to help that water run.
Sure.
Okay. And then also apparently we've got some pretty bad blowouts on that old sewer road that you worked on this summer. Then I said, well, I don't know, I haven't been down, but
Well, I was up across it. I'll go up.
the north-south road coming out of the Seward isn't bad,
Okay, I'll go check it
but
out.
the east-west one apparently isn't, I don't know.
I know we have some issues over there about a mile and a half off of 281.
But they, I told them we weren't done a long time ago. They were busy sealing, and I assumed you'd be back up when they had a chance.
It's on the agenda.
Oh, I assumed it was.
Rain on that a little bit.
A little more wouldn't hurt.
How was that, you know, up north?
I don't think they got.
Oh, no, we didn't get anywhere near that.
Really?
We're pretty dry.
Did you get 2 inches?
I did at my house, now, a lot of guys didn't, like an inch and a half.
It was really, for a general rain, I thought it'd be a little better. It was pretty
Yeah,
spotty.
5 inches to that.
Okay, so, thank you, Phil. I don't know if you guys, do you want to make a statement, a memo, or do you want to more clear policy, do you want to change our policy as far as these tires?
You're puffed up.
Do we already have a written policy?
What are you allergic to?
I'm working on one. The election.
You're allergic to me.
It doesn't specifically say tires. And at that time, you want it for $1,000, you want to do 500 now?
I don't know either.
I don't think we've been outside the tire, been abused of that bad on the $1,000.
I'm not so sure the tires are being abused, I guess.
I don't either, but just, it makes sense to the person more than getting most reasonable, didn't we?
And like Phil said, they're still gonna be mounted and balanced locally, and that's where they're gonna make their money anyhow, so. It's not taking business or money away from the local vendors. It's just, when you have an advantage, you might as well take advantage of it. Might as well use it, so. It just seems to me like we need to clarify our policy and make sure that everybody understands it. And I don't, other than threatening, I don't have any suggestions. Other than making sure we have a clear policy.
Well, I
and
think
it's
once we have
understood.
the policy written, and then we can just hand deliver them to individuals.
And discuss them with
Yes.
any repercussions you might want.
Yes.
Well, that's not a bad approach. I don't have a problem.
Okay, you need to appoint Carol Regal to the Southwest Kansas area. JD talked to her. She.
So I make a motion to appoint Carol to fill a position in the Southwest Kansas area on the aging board.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that Carol Regal put on the southwest area. It's aging board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And on that same subject, Jeannie Martin would like to resign from that position, so.
Get worded. Good luck.
Did she write you a letter or she
And
verbally?
verbally, second-handed, she's in hospice, so.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. So I'll follow up on that this week.
Okay, well, we have a hospital. people
They're not
coming.
coming.
Not at all. What about this proposal from Johnson Music? You want to talk about that?
Proposal from Johnson Music for the sound system next door came in at $4,056.20.
And I presume that's installed.
I would assume so. I don't know.
And maybe I'll get them a call and clarify that. I don't think, since it's wireless, shouldn't be much labor involved, and the only thing would be the speakers on the ceiling.
You can call her.
Can we get some bids from somebody else outside of that? Who else
I
might
don't
do
know
it?
anybody else does. I don't.
What about
think-
Hayes Sight and Sound out of there? I think they do stuff like that. I don't know. Nobody here in town.
I don't know if there's anyone in Great Bend that.
Well, we just talking about this at the church about a soundboard, and I can't think of
Nobody in the county does anything.
who that was with. I can find out. But I assume that's basically the same thing as what we're talking about here. They having to replace the soundboard at the church.
I know that they've done Hudson, they've done Baptist Church North Stafford, I know they've
I'm
done
not so sure it wasn't the same outfit.
the Methodist Church in Stafford, because you notice they also use JMC Church Solutions.
Yeah.
And I don't know about if they did Truesdale.
So they do a lot of this work, yeah.
They do a lot of work, and but I don't know. That's the only one I called, and I don't know if Hayes Sight and Sound does this or not.
Dude, what? I think it's good. They advertise on the commercial, to come out and if you put your,
It'd be nice to have second, this much money, it'd be nice.
yeah, I think so too. So
Well, and
let's
this proposal's good for 60 days.
see what else we can come up with. Do you know of anybody, or how to find anybody? Okay.
All right, then on the subject of imaginative designs, this is a one-time charge, and the only thing after that would be the $35 an hour of inputting data on the website.
I also spoke to her and I asked her about the concerns that, like me to have, that she has to put in her own stuff, and the answer to that is it's silly to build a website that doesn't give them the ability to do that, but no, you don't have to. She's available
What
to do
was
that.
the charge?
8, wait a minute, there's several pages here.
well, there's still a lot of work into it, I know that.
$887.
So, yeah, she's not pushing the work off on the
Yeah,
employees.
I mean,
She's more than
initial
happy.
setup is a lot of work, but
And this way, you know, if they want to input it themselves. And I did have a thought, you know, we were talking about hiring somebody that would take care of Steve's accounting, and our health nurse is looking for somebody. Maybe they could be our webmaster too. Something like that could be their responsibilities, if we actually go that route. So, but if I understand the proposal, Clayton, and you correct me, basically she's not gonna change anything from the way it works now. It's just gonna give us the ability to do these other things. Sure we want, it's just enhancing the website to that point.
And there are 50 pages on the website.
Now, wow.
Away from clerk's office frequently asked questions to the appraiser. Commissioner meeting minutes, job postings, tax department, links, local businesses, hidden treasures, upcoming events, EMS, county clerk, Twavera, hospital, alumni, solid waste, local businesses. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of D through F, T through Z, so on and so forth. The county attorney, road and bridge, archive meeting minutes, district court, neighborhood revitalization, district court local rules, court rules, freedom of information, human resources, registered deeds, recording requirements, weed department, duties of the election officer. So there's a lot in it, and the reason why it's so inexpensive is that there's this group of smart people have got together to combat Windows,
Oh,
where they charge monthly, yearly, whatever, and so they're actually selling this thing at below cost. Excuse me, the current website consists of 68 pages. So, and this would be, she said it's basically patterned after several of the counties, like Wyandotte County has an excellent website, and this would be equal to or better than. And WordPress, you use WordPress, don't you?
The one that they're talking about, can they track the number of hits on each particular page and stuff?
Yes.
So you have an idea of how much it's being used.
That's on Google Analysis, which we've had since December of 2010. And it gives us valuable information as far as the pages that are actually viewed and how often. So that professional fees is $887 to $1,000, no more than $1,020. That includes a template and the website development. And agrees not to exceed the estimated project cost without prior written approval from Stafford County.
Well, Ron told her.
Yeah,
Said
it's-
how reasonable he thought it was compared, because he said a lot of work in that area.
So I would make a motion we accept this offer from Imaginative Designs and building and continuing our Stafford County website.
I second it.
it's been moved and seconded, we accept the offer to, what are we doing,
imaginative signs.
From imaginative designs to enhance our website, is that what?
Yeah, site development.
For site development, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay.
So, I guess, make some calls to other,
Sound people.
I think so.
I'd like to see at least one more bid. I don't have it. I can't help you. I don't know who to call.
I'm certain there's a lot of them in Wichita, but get them up from here.
Yeah.
In Wichita is another thing. All right,
See if we can
I'll give a
call.
call.
I'll check in. If I can get you a name, I'll give it to
The sheriff's sale signs.
you. Yes.
We got the blessing on that, so I'll give that to the seed center.
Wires are out.
The wires are in the garage, so I need to measure one of them.
Just take it with you.
Could
Take
do
it with you
that.
and give it to me.
And that date of the sale has that been established yet?
We just put them up and they can keep watching for the date then.
So we're not gonna put.
So they can be put up as soon as the signs are completed?
She's back, yeah.
Okay.
So we're not gonna put a date on the signs? so
They're gonna be
they'll just-
generic, so we can use them
Over and
over
over.
and over.
That's a good idea. Very good. And you guys will have your phone numbers on there.
So I'll put it,
You,
I thought one phone number would be enough.
yeah. Oh, I was told we couldn't just do that.
what not?
Might get a busy
You'll
signal.
notice who the last phone number is on there. They hit the third
Should-
one, they're
should
hitting the
we-
bottom of the barrel.
Should we circle that one?
No,
Do you want it in red?
no.
Big, big
In
letter.
fact, you
And
can,
actually,
you
they-
can transpose
they
a few
want
of
to
those
know.
numbers if you want.
Yeah. Do you prefer a color,
Black and white.
black on white, or white on black?
I don't care. Black and white's fine with me.
Leave it up to them, let them be creative.
No.
Just so that can be read.
Put a happy face
Could be really interesting.
on
Like put taxails, put some flowers and birds
Remember Marty
chirping.
Sager's golf cart when you say, let them do what they want to do.
Yes.
What do you need to sign this?
Do we need a motion to approve this or what?
No.
No, she
Here.
had blessed it, you said last week you wanted to do it, so it's good.
Anything else?
Steve
Okay,
got done.
that's good. All right, Steve, I think we're done with that business, right? Did you have any more discussion on this?
September is National Preparedness Month.
Yay.
And I wrote a little thing on the WordPress, and that was sent over to David and to Terry to place in the newspaper too. The emergency management field, I just wanted to address that just a little bit, just kind of a little bit for the citizens' sake too, that, you know, I get us involved in about as much as I think is necessary. You could spend 4 people full-time work trying to keep up with all the stuff that they want you to do. But there's a certain amount that's necessary to do. And I think that it's good to be involved to that level. And it's also necessary because a lot of your grants are associated with at least performing some of those. And it even affects your ability to even be eligible for recovery grants. So there is some in that emergency management field that's absolutely necessary to do. And I've tried to at least get us to that level. So it's not that a lot of it isn't good stuff, but we only have so many hours. And so we'll do what's absolutely necessary, and then that's probably about as deep as we'll go. So that's that. A citizen had come forth with a concern about the firefighters using the fire station for personal items, and then displacing the fire units. And so I looked into that, and what that was we had the new vehicle for the sheriff's office, which it's a pickup, like brown in color. So it is a vehicle that's not usual to the rest of the fleet, and that was the one that they I think that's the only thing I could figure out. That's the only vehicle I can find that was in that station, and they were actually working at it on that late into the hours too. And I believe that is going to be the undersheriff's vehicle, Rob Merrill.
You finally got it, huh? Man, that
So that's, and then the vehicle that was actually sitting outside is a parade vehicle that Marshall Sanders owns, and he didn't have place for it down at his, where he normally stores it, so he had it over at the fire station on the outside. So we didn't have a place to put it inside even. I mean, we could have stored it for him, but we didn't have a place for it either. So it's set outside the building, and that was the truck that was sitting outside.
Is this the one that's still sitting out?
Yes, I believe it still. But I do believe that we don't have a policy, and even though I think we've done pretty decent with that I know of, I still think we probably ought to have a policy that generically addresses that area. So this is a draft, and if it meets with your approval, we'll just go ahead and pass it. I do understand that it's typical, it's been typical at least in my past history with even the two paid departments that I've worked for, that they do allow firefighters to pull their vehicles in. They just need to be very cognizant of the fact that it's a privilege and that you need to clean the station, and that you don't end up damaging anything, like tools or anything, and that you don't, it isn't a case of you pull your vehicle in to overhaul the engine or something. It's, if you just needed to get it out of the inclement weather to do a couple of things on your vehicle, then typically fire departments, cities, counties will allow that. Not all of them. You could be more restrictive if you like, but the two before this that I would have allowed that, as long as you didn't displace vehicles into inclement weather or leave them out overnight.
What you're talking about is your full-time staff doing this, right?
No, this would be volunteers also.
Volunteers come in and...
If they wanted to do something on the vehicle, they wanted to pull it in their own personal vehicle, as long as they didn't displace a vehicle and then it sets out. Not uncommon to allow that.
So nothing, no major repairs or
No.
something would take.
No, you're not gonna drop an engine or something like
I
that.
think you do it down shop down there too, all the time, they bring everything down there, so,
Yeah.
employees down there.
And they need to let the station chief that they know, of course, that they're gonna do that. So they might replace a belt or something on it, alternator or something,
Or wax it.
or wax it.
Are there tools kept at those stations?
There is a minimal number of tools. You're not gonna do some
Put them on jack
involved
stands,
type stuff.
put them on jack stands, overhaul everything, he's in for.
It'd be very minimal. If they wanted to, like Clayton said, if they wanted to detail their car or something, they could pull it in and get it out. Weather.
Well, I think it's a good idea to have a policy. You need something
Well, it's like when
to
this
fall
was
back
brought,
on.
when this was brought to my attention, we didn't even have a policy.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting until somebody overhauls an engine. It's better to have a policy in that way you can say, you know. That's an extra business on there, if they
You want to
decide,
Okay.
yeah, they could initial that, they decide that is something that, if you prefer that you think about it and then address it next week, we can do that, or if you're in agreement to it, we can.
I don't think we need to wait till next
Okay.
week.
I don't know, if they're volunteers, I mean,
I know.
summary paper, but I'm volunteering anyhow. you
If
know.
I'm sitting over there for 24 hours with nothing to do, I would probably wax my car.
Yeah, we have a few that'll come, like even some of our EMS volunteers will, they're from out of town, and they'll come in and work a whole shift of being on call, and they'll just sleep at the station. And so they would be there for 24 hours, so they might want to pull a car in, and vacuum it out, and clean it up. Yeah.
Do we need a motion? Okay.
I make the motion that we adopt, is this number 112?
Yes.
The standard operation guideline in regards to fire station usage.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the standard operating guidelines, number 112, for fire station usage. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
This
You want to
next,
sign or
This
initial?
initial, right there, you have.
we have a social media policy, the county.
Mhm.
We already did.
Well, kind of. Do you have one too?
Well, I was proposing one if we did. I guess I should have asked first. Okay, take a read there. And because we don't have one anyhow, but I should make reference to, I should just mirror the counties if we already have one. I guess shame on me for not checking to see if we had one. Oops.
I thought you had, we put one in last.
It seemed like I thought that
You had
we
it.
I thought you're the one that brought it.
Yeah.
Did we already do it?
Let me look.
Okay.
I'm,
I had a past date on it, but I still had draft written on it, and so I thought, well, maybe
I
I.
think we put it in. the
Okay,
first
we already- I think we already did
Well,
that.
let me look, let me look.
How much have they adhered to the policy from?
It's a tough area, because you can't tell people, I mean, it is America. So they have rights, I mean, to address opinions and such. It's just that they have to be, it's a tricky little line there.
Yeah,
I
we
could
have
do
a
it around
social
house.
media policy.
Okay, we already did that one.
Well,
Okay.
you might read it if you want it tweaked, we can, but we do have.
No, I didn't change it any, but when I looked it up and I was coming with these other ones, I said, well, that one's still got draft on it.
We have it in the personnel policy. Now, you don't have, we've never done that. I don't-
Oh, we've never done this one? Okay,
But we do have one in the personnel policy.
okay, before we do anything, other than I'll just like
You
to
might
keep that,
compare the two,
and then I'll compare the two and make sure
because
that.
you helped me write the one for the personnel policy.
Okay, so it's probably pretty close. Okay, then the other one, this one, actually, I was just,
You've been busy.
well, no,
It's the long weekend.
Yeah, right. Okay,
This-
this one back.
I'll take
Fine.
that one, right. This one is the one that I just want to share with you that I'm meeting with, next Monday, I'm meeting with the LAPC, and you're all always invited to those meetings. That's the local emergency planning committee. And what we did is we had a tabletop disaster exercise, and we talked about dangerous subject / active shooter type thing, and we actually had that planned well before the incident out in Colorado occurred. But and what I did was I got copies of the schools, and then I don't think the cities or the county has one. But I looked at other things out there, and then tried to somewhat have one for each agency, which each agency has a little bit more specific things that they would do. That wouldn't necessarily be even something that you could do at another agency. So I tried to kind of pick and choose, or not pick and choose, but delete and then add. Let them have, each agency have their own, but let us act in a common way. So you didn't have to try to remember 6, 7 different plans of action for the emergency responders primarily. So this would be something that we would possibly, if you liked it, and I haven't even brought it back to, I've emailed it out to that local emergency planning committee, but we will meet and talk about it on next Monday morning. I think it's Monday morning. But I wanted to share this draft with you. This would be something that we would use like city, county buildings. That at least would, and I don't know if we'd post this somewhere for like, because this would actually be for employees/citizens. That if something would happen, I would like to have you have an idea of what we'd like you to do. I don't know how many people would read that, really, honestly, the citizens. But the employees probably should have something. At least this is kind of what we want you to do in case somebody come in and go crazy like they seem to be doing.
The first thing I'd do if somebody was shooting at me with a machine gun would be to grab this piece of paper and read it.
Yeah. But I think for
What am I
this would be
doing?
important.
If,
The only thing that I'm thinking of is possibly somebody that was walking in the building would take a look at it. Not when the active shooter.
Right, absolutely.
It's something that they would, more than anything, it'd probably be CYA, so if somebody didn't come after the event and say, well, why didn't you guys do something, you know, why didn't you let us know, let us have an idea of what we're supposed to do. That's about the only thing, but I think for your employees, it's more applicable to your employees. That you give your employees at least an idea of what we'd like you to do if something should happen.
So you're not supposed to make eye contact.
I don't think you're supposed to stare at them, I think, you know. I don't know.
Would it be possible?
That's
to
what
have-
It says don't make eye contact.
Yeah,
Would it be possible to have
I wonder why that
meetings
is.
with the employees? You know, so we could take a short meeting to go over this. I think it'd be helpful, just let them know that the general policy is what to do.
I wouldn't know what to do.
I think it's prepared.
I wouldn't know
It
nothing.
doesn't have
straight line. I'd be
any
running straight
preparedness.
as hell.
I think go along with
You
the
know,
procedures on
why,
it.
why do schools have fire drills?
Yeah, not have better
Why
business. Absolutely.
Why do people have drills for evacuation? You know,
it's getting a little weird out there, you know, you got people mixing different drugs together and slitting kids' throats, and it's getting weird out there. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that, and that's why we actually identify that as dangerous subjects, because I don't think you can just say that, well, this is for active shooter. Well, I think anybody that looks like they're just a little bit off the deep end, you probably ought to have a plan of what you're gonna do, and first of all, is don't hesitate to call the law in and have them subdue the person before they go crazy, I guess.
Well, I think here in the courthouse especially, where you have criminal trials, you have to.
Believe it or not everybody likes your guys' decision.
Well, that too, I mean, you know,
There's always some that don't.
but you know.
Some are really.
These sheriff's offices here, you have, these elements are brought in, so that we, you know, employees are
Right,
exposed.
right. Yeah, you got the courthouse upstairs. I mean, the court.
So, what do you think we, memo it out, how are you gonna communicate this?
You know, it's not
What
real.
do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, it's not real complicated, the information isn't. Getting a copy to everybody would be certainly, that almost, I mean, whether they read it or not.
that's not hard, no.
Yeah.
No, but I
Well,
think-
yeah, but whether they'll read it or not is.
But I think,
It's not that
I think it
hard
should
to
be
read.
labeled important and, you know, required to read.
I think every employee ought to be
Maybe
good
we
for
could
that.
have a staff meeting,
Wouldn't hurt to have that.
department head staff meeting.
Yeah.
And I think as far as like the, you know, like we said, some people poop-all it and they wouldn't read it.
Well, it's 'cause it's
But
not
those
very
same people
complicated.
might poop-all it and if you talk to them about it, they might just, but at least from an administrative standpoint, we did our part. And I think that's where I see it at, is, I'm not saying that if there was a way to get them to embrace it, that we wouldn't entertain that, but I'm kind of like, there's some that just are gonna poop-all it no matter what you do, so at least we gave them the information, and if something should happen, God forbid, at least we did our part.
Okay, I think.
We have storm warnings. We have information on what to do if you're involved in a tornado. You know, we have a lot of guidelines for weather-related incidents. It's just like, the thing that concerns me is around, you know, these anhydrous tanks that they're storing, you know, in one lot. What is the city? Does the city have something, like, if we have a tank rupture,
Then
do you run into the wind or with the wind, or, you know?
Don't zigzag.
Well,
You know, and it's just like, you look at all these co-ops around here, and all these nurse tanks are sitting there, plus the bulk tank. You know, the one that comes to my mind is at Stafford, it's the south end of town. Which ways the wind usually blow out in Kansas, is out of the south. Well, if something were to happen to that.
but the good thing about anhydrous, if there is a good thing, is it is lighter than air. As long as you don't have an overcast day, it'll probably
Yeah.
float up. But there's no guarantee that the day that you have a big release,
That's
that it happens to be the
And, you know,
the foggiest day
Seward.
of the year.
And
And
it's
then,
like-
then it won't.
it's like that, I asked that FEMA guy that time when we were doing the mitigation plan, you know, do we have a plan for the railroad? You know, who knows what's going through this track and going through these towns in the county, as well as 281 and Highway 50. You have any idea what's in those tanks? And they don't. No way you call the hazmat team in Wichita if something were to happen. Well, what about the locals? You know, they should be informed. And I think the people should be informed on something like this as well.
You know, you started off before I actually stepped up here to the table and talking about, you know, your website and stuff. And it's difficult in the smaller communities to communicate with the masses. You know, you got a week between paper issues, and that's just too long. I mean, to get a message that somebody needs to do something pretty quick. We've looked at even somehow getting something telephone-wise, and the only reason I haven't moved forward on that, it'd be an emergency notification via telephone. The only reason I haven't moved forward with that is because I just don't have the man hours to input and update, and it'd just be a lot of work to keep it up. And I don't know if that's something maybe we could look at dispatch doing, taking on that responsibility, but there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, you ask like that. Well, the best way for us to be able to get information out to the public is probably with the phone, because even some of our elderly population are carrying cell phones now. And if they can get a message out that, if nothing more than we have a hazardous material release, and we need you to stay in your house, turn your air conditioner or heaters off, and keep your doors and windows closed. And we'll release more information as soon as it's available. So, but this for right now is, I want to take it back to that group first, and then we'll
Okay.
see what their ideas are, but I wanted to get you a draft before I did that. And that's all I have.
Great.
Anything?
Oh, we're good.
Let's recess.